So, my name is Serbia Pride. On FAF you know me as Baltimore Flak. My credentials are simple. I am currently sitting at 1800. I have, in the past, happily run around on ladder killing people in the top 10, except the top 4. But the point is, TA, I don't know where the hell he's gone, used to do these types of, not for fun casts, but more on analytical side of things. And they were very useful people who wanted to get better at the game from the perspective of someone who actually knew what they were doing. Well, that's relative. But the point is, Jagged isn't as, whatchamacallit, active as he used to be. I figured, well, I can give my opinion of things, because I feel that, I guess I'm vaguely qualified to do so. I've taught in the past, and maybe some people will find this useful. Anyway, on this particular game, we have a fairly longish game on diversity. It's not a standard map by any means, but there are quite a few useful pointers that, from my perspective at least, I want to share with people. This is Mad Mozart, and he is his Jagged Appliance. Cybran, UEF, fairly archetypal. If you ever open a map you're not familiar with, the first thing you always need to look at, besides who you're against, is what you're plan to do. So in this map you clearly have 3 expansions. The only problem is that, say on Pyramid, they're relatively close to each other. You can expect them to not be contested too hard. So on a map like this you can probably expect a great deal of tech on spam to contest them. But open builds. One, we can see Mozart going for land. Second land, third air. Jagged, meanwhile, hasn't actually decided, oddly enough. But anyway, we'll just keep this there as an eye for opening builds. Please leave comments below as how you like those. I do some people like opening builds, especially the Dialcast. I'll switch it to single screen later to demonstrate some of the points. But I'm going to say I'm training somebody called Accuracy right now who shows promise, but one of the key things he doesn't seem to understand early on is the concept of vision, which, although I covered in the video on my other channel, I'll cover here again, is early on, right? This is all you see, you know your opponent's here, but as time goes by, your internal clock will realize that more and more possibility of the units being anywhere on the map. And this is why the top players very commonly will use land scouts, because they have a radar bubble. If you manage to get a radar bubble all the way across here, there is zero possibility, therefore, that units will get through to raid you unless they go through that radar bubble. Okay, they can drop, that's another thing entirely. So you can see here, Mad Mozart has built the 3 land scouts, and in doing so, he's going to create a radar net which will allow him to see raids. Jagged Appliance, on the other hand, I can probably end this now, has decided to go aggressive on 1, so we know this is most likely to be free, but doesn't know what's up here. And here you can see Jagged sees something, and he's going to chase it, but the problem is, it's not so much a problem, but Mozart also sees this, he knows what it is, and therefore he can divert engineers away from it, and he can send his tank towards it. He knows there's nothing going to be heading to the north, because that mole's still there. There's going to be nothing heading to the south, but with this mole's attack, he knows there's going to be 1 raid so far, which is here. One, two, three. First, second land. Vaguely dangerous, at the same time it allows you quicker engineers to quicker expansion. The alternative might be to rush a transport and just drop and drop, which is also feasible. Depends on your playstyle really, but now you see Mozart dropped early radar, probably because he lost his only source of radar here, so doesn't want anything else slipping through. Because these are not cheap early on at 80 mass, it's the same as a generator and the cost of generator to run. But in the meantime, he'll throw down a factory lower down south, so he has less driving distance to expansions. These are pushing up, because there's no reason to sit back. The further forward they are, the faster you get your contact, the more time you get to react, such as in this case. Assuming it doesn't get stuck. And that dies. UEF versus Cybran Scouts. Cybran Scouts don't get guns because reasons. Jagged, meanwhile, has decided that he would build radar in a strategic locations. In this case, he's placed it on a plateau. He could have placed it probably further forward, and this allows him fairly good idea of what's happening around him. I mean, if they snuck through the south, you couldn't tell, but he has this here, and in the north he has this to complete his bubble. So you see, this is one straight line. He knows exactly where anything and everything is coming. Whereas this, for instance, doesn't really tell you very much. Nothing. Mozart knows there's nothing coming to the north because this is the benefit of being aggressive. You dictate where all the fighting goes. You force your opponent to react to you, and it's very unlikely he will divert units to send a counter raid. Because if you have units in the vision across here, you know nothing's coming this way. 2 engineers on power line, but Zenith is paused. Running out of power. And we have solitary raids here, there, and everywhere for Mozart. And this is the nature of playing against Cybran. They will play aggressive because they have faster units, and you will need to catch them, and thereby they should be able to expand behind it. Exception being is if you're against Blackheart, who for some bizarre reason can play as UEF and still force you to react to him, because he is probably German and does better than the rest of us combined, but that's another story entirely. Now, what else have we got? So, Jagged knows there's currently nothing happening down here because he has vision of it. You just wait for Engineer to show up, and one-on-one the Striker will beat the Mantis without micro. And now we have Mantis running around just being annoying. I wouldn't be surprised if Jagged threw up another radar here to cover this, but he's also then going to spread raids with a PD, which is the other way you can lock down expansions. Especially on places like Open Palms, you'll find that people happily put down a PD in each of the major expansions to stop raids. The only issue there is having to identify what it is exactly you're protecting. In this case, Jagged just wants to seal off this access point, thereby guarding the Hydra as well. It doesn't actually stop the Hydra being killed because they could technically run around the back. And oh my god, the sound. I'm trying to fix it, but it's a first cast, bear with me. Right, that's sorted. Bombers going after engineers. Early on, that's pretty much what you want to target, is radar, and engineers first, and radar second. So as you see now, although that wasn't too much of a problem, that probably killed a radar going down to here. So Mozart likes to put radars in very strategic locations. I've noticed this of him. In this case, he's put it fairly far forward. He has access of all the middle. He knows what's coming and where everything is. He's currently denied the top expansion. He has a rough idea there's nothing in the bottom expansion. He has already started teching, and he's going up to tech 2. The current meta of the game, even for UEF in a lot of places, is simply to ignore tech 2 completely, build a tech 2 PGen and just go straight for tech 3. And the reason that is mostly in the cases that by the time you get enough Tech 2 to be of significant difference enough to push through Tech 1 hordes, they can be in Tech 3, which will completely invalidate your Tech 2. And Tech 2 is not cheap. UEF can get away with it because pillars are so cheap in comparison to what they do, but rhinos and the rest of it, not so much. So in this case, Jagged has stabilized the situation by basically nothing of Cyber can float except Wagners, which drive along the bottom, which we might see later. This is still live for some bizarre reason. He's set up replay in the south, and oh god, I've turned that down as well.
Strategic launch detected.
Right. So, what can Jagged see? Jagged can see that at the top, well, he's not actually reacting to this right now. There's no PD. This could all get denied if Mozart got a move on. But Jagged, Tech 2, building pillars.
Commander under attack.
Mozart, also Tech 2, building rhinos and ecoing as well. Other things that lower rated players don't do is mix scouts in with their attack forces. So in this case, for instance, this single scout will tell Mozart that there is nothing in the vicinity that will threaten him. He does not need to retreat, he can happily sit there and kill everything. Same with down here. There's nothing approaching, there's nothing down here. He can take his time to kill this. I mean, now he knows that the pillars on the field he's going to move on, but there's a drop in the south, of which drops take APM, of which, well, at the moment if you Jagged's attention elsewhere, I'm not sure if Mozart required both of these PDs, but that's what he chose to do. In the north, he's also going to build a PD to try and block that. Another proposition that you could use is walls. Walls are very underrated to the point that they're getting nerfed because the lower rated players don't use them and the higher rated players abuse the shit out of them. So a simple wall here would have completely stopped this from happening. Mozart is busy ecoing. And we have pillars. Mozart is also interceptor numbers 37. And Jagged does not actually seem to have an air force right now. What the hell? Anyway, compensationary mechanisms include flak. Build more of it. Flak saves lives, even your opponents. Because if your opponent builds flak and you try to snipe them and it fails, you're in a pretty bad spot. Whereas in most cases, your team will refuse to build it and get sniped and then die. Other important quirks of a map: control and shift. That'll let you see where the reclaim is. So these big rocks should have been taken already. They haven't been for whatever reason, or we just not around to them. Major fighting, if you go to your opponent, you have to achieve a goal, or else you just dump mass. I mean, your opponent's tanks can be recycled, but then you'll recycle your tanks as well. 11,000 reclaim for Jagged. Less for Mozart. This is really dangerous. Right? Mozart does not have overcharge, it's a vanilla ACU. If Jagged had actually scouted that, he probably could have tried to kill him. This force could easily kill a vanilla ACU, and I think Mozart was fairly lucky there, because there was nothing in the vicinity to actually save him from that if Jagged had actually pushed out and then, but it happens. This is what happens when you have imperfect intel. You don't want to risk it, because for all you know, there could be ACU there, and maybe another 15 miles behind, in which case you're feeding it. And now we see the usage of stealth, which is again something which is underused for multiple reasons. For one, Cybran Tech 2 just isn't that mass efficient. Mass for mass, it'll lose to UEF. It just seems to be a lot of, oh god, fighting on the flag. Goodbye! At one point, Mozart actually had a decent air force, and then Flak just said, nope, you are melting. Jagged is still mixing in. Nope, it died. But that's a situation where you don't really wish to be, is in a concave, where you're stuck in a choke point and you're being attacked from all sides, and he quickly gets out of it. He has no idea what he was facing, he has no idea what he's fighting against. He now puts a radar in. He could probably make one of these Tech 2 if he wished to, but now we see, yeah, this is what we see. You don't expect this type of thing to happen against UEF and Cybran, but yeah, they're going to be using amphibious tanks to cross these bodies of water, of which you can't really counter with walls because they're always going to find a way around it. You could PD everything, but that's hideously expensive. The alternative is just to put 3 PDs per, also expensive. There's no perfect solution, and you literally just send them in 1s or 2s, and they eat up a lot more of your opponent's APM attention. If you can snag a T2 mech, all the better. But you can see, for instance, here, this should not have been here. So, what? A mixture of rhinos and medusas. 8 rhinos, 300 a pop, 2,400. Meanwhile, 20 pillars, that's just going to run roughshod over it. But the problem was, right, Jagged had no idea that this force was up here because of stealth. So you can see now, according to this radar, there's nothing here, but he flew over it. I'm not sure whether he noticed it, or at least if he did, he's trying to build PDs. And this is why, when you are playing a Cybran, you definitely need more mixed arms, so you definitely need more medusas just to deal with PDs, because rhinos do not like terrain, and by extension they do not like walls. You have TMLs coming in from Jagged. Always a good idea to build TMLs in a lot of cases. Can threaten a great deal of area, force TND, and then, well, once you say TND, you can either keep it, because even if you blow up a T2 tank, it's cost efficient, but it'll you reclaim and turn into a T2 mech, which also works. Jagged switches to T-Tube Air because there is no flak in this, and Janus are coming in to absolutely ruin everything. Everything is melting to the point that it's just dumping mass. New balance. Why? But in the meantime, Mozart has switched over to Tech 3. Secondary land. He has a small economic advantage. He's still trying to eco. And he's just not going to go for loyalists at all. You could question why, but it's up to personal preference. Some players, like Doom for instance, just play old school, don't want to advance at all. Newer generation might like loyalists because they're generally more responsive, and they're just easier to use because they're quicker. When you move to UEF, everything's slower, you have to be more predictive and just better, whereas Cyber, I guess, in a way, is just more forgiving because they're faster, but I digress. Economically, Jagged has actually taken the lead, but he's also suffering from power problems. He's probably also benefiting from a great deal of reclaim, like 8,000 more, and then just got dumped to Tech 2 Wreckfield. Ironically enough, because of the advantage of having the middle ground is that you can actually put threatening things in range, like a TML. Jagged, for instance, doesn't actually bother to build that many TMDs because he knows that in order for a TML to actually threaten this, it'll have to be somewhere around the middle, which is highly unlikely to happen. Like, even up to here, this is unlikely because of how far forward he's pushed. And so all of this, no TMD, but he's building it now anyway. You have two options. You can either be like Zlo, where you just don't build it until you scout it. But I wouldn't recommend that because he's slow. He is slow and he can get away with it. The rest of us mere mortals cannot. Or you can take it like what Mozart is doing, which is just to build a preemptive wall anyway. The weakness of this, however, is that a single, like, that's what I do, build TML, launch them, then at the same time use bombers to kill the TMD. Then by the time they react and notice the TMD's down, the missiles are already there and hitting everything. Mozart on upgrade of some kind, wouldn't be surprised if that was meant to be RAS. Slow RAS. At this stage of the game, you have to wonder, are you going to eco harder, or are you going to dig in? Eco harder, dig in, or put everything to units and keep shoving. From Mozart's perspective, he could. This is where loyalists come into play, where because they're faster they can dictate the course of the battle. And, well, Percy's might hit harder, but they're slower and cost more. Because at this rate, the UEF gains the advantage with every passing minute, just by the fact that their late game is just that much more superior, unless you have overwhelming economy or overwhelming numbers. But even now, right, so 16 rhinos, that's pretty nice, but as soon as Percy's roll on, they're going to be completely invalidated.
Commander under attack.
So assuming this even remotely went anywhere near here, you can see Jagged already sending Percy south, and the other way to deal with the slowness of Percy is just to utilize transports. And that will bypass their slowness. So it's like that, just airlift them to where they're needed. Like, don't airlift them on top because, well, Lancaster Square dictates that they will still lose. Or if you don't know what that is, I guess you look it up. Basically states that if you have 2 tanks versus 4, or 2 tanks versus 1, 2 tanks versus 1, right? If 2 tanks are 4 times as effective, and not twice, because you have twice the targets to shoot at, and there's twice the target shooting back at you. So that poor person at the front just took on the brunt of the time, took 2, and oh, that is gross overkill. Jagged Appliance is now Michael Bay. And even over here, bricks are... and bricks can vaguely walk it off, but you need more flak than that to deal with this. Cyberns don't get shields, they only get stealth. And 2 flak is not going to cut it. There's not enough air to fight this air blob, because earlier on, Mozart just parked over some flak. And I'm surprised that Mozart didn't end up using wangers just to, run around the back, because although this is protected, right, you can attack from here, outside the range of the PDs. It doesn't take that much APM, just click, 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 but I'm not the one playing, and people will get mentally exhausted in these types of games, but stealth bricks are the way you deal with Perseus or Cybran. It's one of the most effective ways, because you can't kill, you can't see. Well, that's lie as well, you can always nuke it, kill it with fire, as is what Michael Bay is now intended to do. No T2 radars yet, so Zoc's not going to be happy with this. And Mozart is busy capping, but nothing here is Tech 2. He's going for Tech 3 mexes. And the actual correct order of ecoing, if you wish to know it, is you put your factories around Tech 1 mex, and then you go to Tech 2, bring the Tech 2 mexes, and then you upgrade the Tech 2 mex to Tech 3, and you leave this one to the last. And the reason for that is simple. The difference between teching that to Tech 3 and teching, say, this to Tech 3 is that the mash you get from this can be put anywhere, but this is locked into your factories. It's a minor difference, but it might make the difference later. Whereas if you stick it, factories get the most benefit just purely being even next to Tech 1 mex. But ringing mexes is something for later on in the game, and right now, well, Mozart, as you see here, drops by Jagged, and these are very difficult to deal with because Mozart technically could do drops of his own, like, I don't know, just drop 3 bricks against it. It doesn't matter if the bricks first die, he gets the reclaim. But otherwise the Perseus will just roll on, don't really care too much, and kill your economy in very short order. Like, that used to be a radar, in my imagining. There's this right formation for it, but it's gone now. That might have been a Tech 2 as well. And you have another one up here, and it's like 3 Perseus in 1 Tech 2 transport. Tech 2 transport relatively quick, unless you have Omni radar, you can't really stop it that quickly, or it takes an obvious route. And Jagged is currently being the aggressive one. There's an air fracas over Mozart's territory, which it looks like he's going to win. But he currently lacks radar of any kind of the offensive sort. So he doesn't know what's happening here. For all he knows, it could be a wall of Perseus approaching him. And in fact, that is exactly what is happening. I should know it's over 5. 5 versus 10. And unfortunately, there's a whole bundle of Tech 2 with it, which means that actually... No, the bricks will win. They're not that many Perseus. But if those were Perseus instead, that would have been a very bad warning for them. Here you see Mozart trying to chase down Percy. Not the wisest idea. If he had a gun, it would have been easier. And what have we got now then? Jagged is soaring ahead on Eco. Is soaring ahead on Eco because this is Tech 2, this is all teched. This has been Tech 1 or denied. There's 2 Tech 3 mexes. I guess in this case it's a game of chicken, but this should not be allowed to happen. Where's Jagged's flak going? Just ignored. And oh wait, no, there's a sand. That's okay. Everything's gonna get deleted. Oh, horror. I did a lot of Tech 3 engineers though. I'm almost certain that is a mistake. It should. But you think Jagged probably wanted 5 Perseus to 1 engineer, not 5 Tech 3 engineers to 1 Percy, but This power grid as well is relatively excessive, floating 4K. He could easily reclaim that and put it into Tech 3 mexes or more T3 power generators. He also could benefit from Omni Radar because he's just playing defensive, but Jagged on one hand can get away with it because he's UEF. And he's allowed to be defensive because as time goes on, as I said, it's more and more in his favour. He now sees that there's T3 air on the field from Mozart. And in many cases, the way you deal with UEF is to go air or just not on the land. Tech 2 radars up, no shield though, which is relatively sad. Because a single Tech 1 bomber comes in will ruin your day. And although it costs APM, sending single bombers to take out radar pays off massive dividends that aren't immediately obvious. 2 radars for Mozart. No, Mozart is now trying to do drops of his own. Only small issue is they're all on one side and there's nothing in the bottom. For instance, he could have done, since he has these and he has stealth, he could easily do a stealth drop, build TMLs, say, back here, scout it, do TMLs, and once he bombs it, or just build it here. And he could easily then get the correct arc to kill everything back in the base. I'm pretty sure he can land up here as well if he wanted to, and there's nothing that Jagged would know about it. But such dirty tricks seem to be only something that I do. But oh well. There's now a complete lack of respect for Jagged's airspace, but he's building SAMs to remedy the situation. He does have build power, and he's building that Omni radar. Surprised he doesn't keep teching. There's a strat bomber. I'm not sure what he's trying to aim to do though. And now Mozart has 4 bricks up here. They cleared out the top expansion, and I don't know what they're going to do now. The Omni is up, but we have a massive power stall. That is fixed, and now it's like, I don't know what this was meant to achieve besides just suiciding empties, or just trying to kill transports in and on the way out. Not sure what the strat bomber did either. The stealth is now defeated. And this is just, at this moment in time, you see here, 15 Percys, 14 bricks, 1-on-1, Percy 4 wins due to Alpha Strike. And Mozart did not know that was there, did not scout it, and the result is a pretty significant mass dump for Jagged. Like at this stage, there's no reason that he couldn't just pause his production, just hardcore eco everything he could, just go straight to experimentals or a nuke. It's approaching 30 minutes, and you generally want to reach for something beyond just brute forcing your way forward, because that just won't work. Here as well, blind drop. I mean, he knows that Jagged hasn't got any air, which is why he does it, is what I imagine. Because he went in, cleared it out, knows that Jagged can protect 3 air at that point. But the other problem is now, is he didn't know what was happening around here. In this case, it's just some casual Percys running in. And, well, bricks are busy shooting at mass storage. 4 bricks. Then maybe they'll kill 2 mass extractors. And then in return, they'll need, what, 3,600 reclaim? Not overly worth it. What are other things that you can do as a cyber in this case? I don't know. I would have reached for experimentals much earlier on. Because again, it's a matter of speed and reaction. As soon as you see what's going on, you can go where the Percys aren't. I mean, if they rush to your face, you're still stuffed, but yeah, that's another story. So Mozart has queued Soul Ripper, which is probably a good idea. Monkey Laws do not beat Percys. There's a pretty infamous cast, I don't remember who did it. There was 3 Monkey Lords versus something like 30 Percys, and the Percys just wrecked the monkeys. It was so sad. Mozart is going to tech up the bottom now, which is not a bad move. He is also going to do more brick drops, but there are SAMs here. There is a Percy drop of 3, where he could literally drop on top of with his bricks and get a nice taste mass gift. Reclaim wise, 54,000 versus 66,000, 11,000 extra for Jagged. Mozart has taken the lead with regards to generated economy for the moment. And now you see the issue with Cyber and T3 Air, which is the fact that you cannot see it. Activate stealth, and then all sorts of bad things happen. Something of which I know that Mozart likes to do is, for instance, turn off or turn on stealth on half of his ASF, so it looks like he only has half the amount he does. Then he lures into a fight, and then you realize you're being really retarded and just fell straight into his delicately manicured hands. But one thing that I wish people would do more, or maybe not since I play against them, but something that always seems that I does, is to stealth my own base. Because the problem is, you'll notice that people, especially in team games, more experienced players will ping suspicious engineer formations. Because when you start building large projects such as nukes or experimentals, the signature on radar and the formation of engineers is a dead giveaway. Although at the moment you can't really tell much besides, for instance, I don't know, these are all interceptors, this is on Tech 3. It's not really much that you could know about here because Jagged knows that Mozart is using self bricks, and thus there could be something that it might not be. He knows, for instance, that there's some fairly heavy assist from Tech 3 Air Factory, and that's why he's showing to Scout now to see whether he can push or not, make a judgment call, and he's going to assume that he can. I wouldn't advise it. No, I'm just going to back off. He knows he doesn't have the numbers yet, if he had all these in total. He sees the bug, but that's the issue with this game as well, is why you can scout structures and they'll be grey. You can scout this, but it won't immediately show up in the strategic zoom. If you mouse over it, it'll show you it's there, but he's going to go for another path. I think you might see it now. And that should prompt some pretty major Tech 3 AH, but it doesn't seem like it. 35 minutes have gone. He has again teched up his north quadrant. Still unable to get rid of the bloody scouts. Mozart not claiming his Tech 2 power grid. Sustainable. Some people like to keep them just in case really bad things happen to your Tech 3. And then you're not completely utterly shafted, but these are still Tech 3. Tech 2 I mean, or should be Tech 3. I mean, these are all Tech 2, there's no reason these shouldn't be Tech 3 at all, but if you're lacking the overlays that I have, then meanwhile you have whalers in the south, and I'm not sure, it's probably not a good idea at all. The reason being, right, you're trying to protect your Perseus, but what's the purpose of it? You're now engaged in aircraft, thus you know there are a whole bundle of interceptors, you know that Mozart has ASF, and you also know, or at least should know, if you passed it 3, 4, 5 times, that there's a bug on the way, and there's still a disturbing lack of SAMs to deal with it. Staging facilities again would be useful in Tech 3 because, well, you see this is barely alive, right? Will take a shot, die, whereas if you repaired it to full, it would be much more effective and it'll save you mass energy in the long run. I know Jagged knows this because he commented about it for strat bombers, but even for other Tech 3 aircraft it's still useful. Here we have a mild engagement, 33 Percivals. 33 Percivals, 28 bricks. The Perseus will win, but then you notice this escort formation. He should know that there is a target coming. And the worst thing you can do at this point is to engage the bug and try and kill it to save your Perseus. Because the problem with this is you absolutely must resist augmentation and you have to fight with your terms, which in this case means closer to your SAM fields. Whereas over here, absolutely nothing. In the meantime, there is a bandit person heading north, but he has no idea what's actually coming for him. And if he doesn't know what the heck's coming for him, well, he knows now, but since he can't know what shot him, he can't shoot back. Now he can shoot back, and they're just firing at different things, but the drops are coming in, probably because he knows that Mozart's attention's over here, and it looks like he's going to make a run for the power grid, which is surprisingly one of the most fatal things you can do to an opponent is destroy their power. It'll set them back minutes. We have another drop prepared, but not doing anything. I'm not so sure if that's going to live much longer at this rate. The bug is still alive. I could probably happily chew up everything down here. In fact, it should chew up everything in the south. You can easily kill the solitary Sam, but I guess he thinks better of it and wants to go home. I think that was a pretty major mistake. There's nothing here to stop it. He could have just killed the Sam and killed all of this eco. Heck, because he could have killed the eco. That's easily, what, 100 to 150 mass? That could have just evaporated there. Meanwhile, though, at home, the entire power grid just went up in smoke, and I don't think Mozart realized quickly enough. There's another drop coming. Don't know if this will land, but that's going to be an expensive loss. Oh, they drop. That's more headaches for Mozart. And Jagged has got a nice, that is an enormous reclaim field. Mozart's power has completely crashed. And this is when having these spare T2P gen is actually quite useful. I'm pretty sure he has RAS as well. Never underestimate it. Oh, and he loses his Tech 3 HQ. That's not good. But he still has his Omni, which according to this is over here. Omni position for... Oh wait, no, he lost his TMD, so now the TML's coming in to snipe off economy. Oh, that's not good. Looks like losing his economy in a big way. He now has mass, but doesn't have the energy or build power to use it. And what I would have done if I was in his position would have been to build more bugs. Once I got my power grid up, you know that your opponent hasn't got the air for it. But this should not be present right now, but at last it is, which is sad. Like, the bugs are now being shooed away. And I just think he could just underestimates how much damage it can take. Jagged, meanwhile, is just... that is sickening. He can build what he wants, he could build nukes, he could build... He's going to expand his air force, and that's probably what you should do. You know on the ground, you have him beat, you can see everything that's coming in. You just need to protect yourself against the damn bug. And Jagged doesn't have RAS. I honestly feel that's a minor mistake, but the one thing as UEF has as an advantage over all others is that they can RAS and still get a defensive upgrade. All other civs, races, if they want RAS, they have to give up their defensive upgrades, which as Cybran isn't really that much of a deal. It's like, wow, I might be able to cloak myself. Big whoop. Anyway, solitary brick's not doing very much except dying. Jagged appliances, mass numbers are going to go through the fucking roof. You have a random gunship sitting there, not doing much. TMD needs to go up. TMD under shields at this stage would have been what I would have done, but mass is still ticking away. He could be teching all of these, but I think general lethargy is approaching. The other thing you see now is you see Mozart with multiple brick drops on both sides. And the thing with this is, you could at least have stuck a Deceiver in them, and they wouldn't have noticed, but Jagged sees one, responds to one, but remember that you can drop these into the water. If that was a bait and switch, it would have been pretty effective, because then Mozart could have just swamped in and killed all these, and the bricks wouldn't have died for it, because they're amphibious. Drop anything else in the water and they'll probably explode. Now the bricks are safe, nothing, they don't really care, they can just walk up. Jagged, however, already knows that, and he can drop his own bricks on top if he so desired. Bricks, Percy's. Mozart rebuilds his power grid, and Jagged builds more shields, but again, not reclaiming his Tech 2 power grid. He could build Fat Boys, he could build all of this Tech 3, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. Bricks in the north though. Oh, please snag this. Not that it matters at this stage, but that's pretty major. And you can see the lovely targeting prioritization of the game right now. Mass storage, more important than actual mass extractor. Yeah, and that's going to get cleared up by these Percys coming in. That's just not being hit for some reason. That's just sad. Meanwhile, the Percys here are busy killing upgrading mass extractors for Mozart, which is bloody painful. I think all three of them were in the middle. No, just two. Two were Tech 2, the other two were... Oh no, maybe they're not. I thought they were... Nah, they're Rex or Tech 2, but they were definitely upgrading to Tech 3. You have Tech 3 for air production restarted, and you see now megaliths being produced, because you just can't fight mass Perseus with bricks unless you have overwhelming numbers. Need something more. Monkeys will get shafted, but they're still quite useful, as they provide raw DPS. Now you have bricks running around at the back. Mozart knows there's nothing there, so he can just keep walking, but he's losing power, which isn't a good thing. This as well has no shields. Well, it's so far back that it might not matter, and because there's no stealth, Mozart can easily see whatever the hell comes in, and all he's going to try and do to kill that. But more brick drops attempted. The Soul Ripper is now in pretty poor territory because there's no anti-air cover. Mozart doesn't have an air force anymore. Jagged Appliance is almost double the economy of Mozart. And this, I'm not sure this is meant to be stopped besides a mega. Now it's Mozart's turn to need to build SAMs if he wishes to stay in this game, or reach for something wonderful like a nuke, which I'm still surprised no one has reached for. But a reactive fat boy from Jagged. This is just sad and should not be alive. There's no TMD. Late game, you just scout because people get lazy. All this to do is put 2 TMLs here and all of this disappears. But it's 45 minutes in, people suffer from just mental lag at this point. This mega should not be running into clubbing range, but it is, and is now taking unnecessary damage. Like hideously unnecessary damage. I will win, but it's the same as a mega versus a GC. Just because you can win at melee swinging distance doesn't mean you should stay in melee swinging distance. And Mozart should have engineers out here to reclaim this. More megas. They'll hold the line for a while, but as soon as fat boys come onto the picture, it's going to be even more difficult. This is still Tech 2 for some reason. The Soul Ripper is just sitting there, looking very sad. And the other way you can deal with block range is to drop Perseus on top of it. Oh, that mega's gonna die. I mean, the splash damage is sickening, but no. It's just the reason why you can't stay in melee range of Perseus. They all eat your shit. I have Ivan Dorvich up. MMB is up next. That's the superior eco. All of this eventually got wiped out by bricks, but left so much more reclaim. 160,000 approaching to 112,000, 30,000, 40,000 mass differential reclaim. 2 nuke launchers, 30 odd Perseus. And now we have random bricks just scattered around, not really doing very much. And now it's just wondering, how would you win the game? In this situation I would have just reached for Telemazer, but that's because I'm full of bullshit tricks. Mozart's position, he knows he needs air of some kind, he's focusing on it, but he doesn't have the economy for it. He's trying to go, he knows he doesn't have it, so he's going to reach for bouncers, but he doesn't have the stealth for them. He doesn't have stealth fields, which means that they're going to get melted by fat boys. These bricks are still standing up here. Sort of, what are you doing? Jagged has more mass that he could use, so he's just going to put it into even more mass because, well, the fastest way to use your mass is to tech mass extractors, ironically. He's reached for a nuclear missile. Mozart is going to scout, and he will now see that there is a nuke. He will also see a pretty sickening amount of power and air production. And I'm pretty sure he might think that, at least know that his number's cooked, so he needs to try for a snipe of some kind, which looks like exactly what he's doing by focusing everything into strat bombs. Except there's a problem with that as well. And that simple problem is they take a lot of power, of which Mozart does not have, unless he wishes to balance on a mass stall. In which case he'll need to constantly scout, because now he has no idea which one of these is ACU, but he can probably guess it's this one, just by the fact that it's outside the range of everything, all the other nice bunchy engineers. He now has a whole bunch of bouncers, of which don't really serve a purpose, as there's no offensive air coming in, and if he wishes to win air control, well, that's not going to happen, because he doesn't have the actual ASF to fight this ASF, and the T3AA is not going to really kill that in time. And these are all going to disappear in a fat boy fire. This is when I would build Monkey Lords, just to provide a big stealth field for the Mega. Because right now everything out of here, you can see that Jagged just has too much mass, is taking absolutely everything. I think this game is pretty close to over. It's like, this is the UEF combo. You have fat boys at range, and if the Megas want to therefore have to close, if they do so, then the Percivals will just run forward and kill everything. And now, are those all bouncers that are gonna melt? Oh, that is expensive. 800 each, just dying. If these were under stealth, this wouldn't happen. Heck, if the Mega was under stealth. No, if these are all under stealth, the fat boys are useless. I don't really have to scout, but there are no scouts here. You can just see this lovely blob of ASF flowing over the bouncers and nothing happening. And now, here we go. Mega is in range of a fatty. Do the shields go down? Nope, say bye to rain. You have a nice deal of 3 here, but the Percy just rolling in. It's 42 Percys, there's nothing that can happen here. It's like, that's all going to explode, because the Percy can't stop the Percy trains. Just exploded.
Strategic launch detected.
That's a real nuke. That's going to go straight for the main base. Meanwhile, the Mega's just melted underneath Percy fire. This one is underneath 2 fat boys, and the bounces in the end didn't really do much. The bugs brought forward to try and deal with this in the meantime, and the bounces are parked underneath, so they can't be hit by Percy's. You can see now that the scouts are coming in to try and locate Jagged's comm. He actually saw the strats up here if he was paying attention. And now we can see the strats, but sometimes you might not notice. Yeah, as soon as you see an air engagement, everyone's automatically attention is dragged to here, but it's like, suddenly this comes in.
Commander
And
under
that
attack.
happens, but they're just SAMs with days, like that SAM battery. Nothing was going to happen to it. They had a comm shield and didn't even lose half the shield. Boy. And that is the end of that. Jagged won. Just held on for the inevitability of the UEF. There were certain things that Mozart could have done, in my opinion. For instance, after that first engagement where he had won the battlefield, clear out at least this expansion, slow it down. But that Percy drop at the back was brutal. In fact, the drops from Jagged were just much more effective than Mozart's. But by the time you get to late T3, UEF is going to have the advantage. Let's do something pretty fundamentally special. Nope. That will end this one. This is around 50 minutes. Do let me know if this was useful or not to you. My name is Soviet and my voice is breaking. See you next time.